Hey folks, it's Wednesday again. How are you doing? Seems that things have been calming down here in our cities, but there is still lots of pain and hurt. As I stated last week, we've still got a lot of work to do. Not only do we need to heal, but we need to listen to each other and make some sure steps forward to make sure that we are treating others with love and respect that we would want for our own selves. So today we have a new word to add to our arsenal of spiritual words. Now, if you've ever had a toddler in your house, you know this word all too well. It's no. No, no, no. Now, how can no be a spiritual word? Well, the truth is, if we are to recognize that our spiritual lives are all about all of our lives, every part of our lives, then we need to recognize that it isn't always pretty, right? Even Jesus says, I didn't come to bring peace. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that once we become a Christian that things are going to get better. And so we recognize that life is hard. Life is messy. When we come across people who are hard on us or situations that are more than we can handle, we need to have an outlet that we can cry out to. We are human and we're relationship oriented. We can't just stuff all of these feelings down inside. Not unless we just want to erupt someday on some clerk at the grocery store. No, in order for us to be healthy, both emotionally and spiritually, we need to express our emotions, even our grief and lament. And that may mean shouting no to God. It's interesting, that even though we Christians have this mentality of our world needing to be happy, 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 that we have so many psalms that are considered lament psalms. These are songs that are crying out to God. More than any other psalms, we have psalms of lament. Psalms that shout no. Psalms that cry out no more. Songs that plead not again. And in each of the psalms of lament, the church is crying out to God. They aren't crying out to one another. They know that the poor, sorry soul next to them is in the same boat. So they cry out to God instead. And you know why? Because they know that God is the only one who has the power to change their situation. When they had a tyrant of a king, they cried out to God. When the money was gone, the government wasn't there. There was a famine in the land. When they were enslaved, when their children were being killed and their hope for a future seemed to be drying out, they cried out to God. They said no. God was the source of their lament, and rightfully so. Because almost every time in the lament psalms, they could find a way out. They knew that if God interceded, they would be rescued. They knew that if they cried aloud together as a group of believers, God would hear their cry and deliver them. And that's really probably the biggest difference between complaining and lamenting. When we lament, we are crying out to someone who can help us change our situation. When we complain, it's only for the purpose of letting someone else know how bad we feel. Those who complain don't really want to change their situation. They just want to have something to talk about. Those who want their situation to change, those who are willing to lament, to cry out to God, they say no. They yell no. And then get this, they expect God to act. They expect a change in their situation. They have faith that God will bring them out of the situation that they're in. Listen to this passage from Psalm 69. It's one of the lament psalms. Here the psalmist is feeling sorry for himself because he has faith in God, but everyone's picking on him. And here's what he continues to say. God, it's time for a break. God, answer in love. Answer with your sure salvation. Rescue me from the swamp. Don't let me go under for good. Pull me out of the clutch of my enemy. This whirlpool is sucking me down. Now answer me, God, because you love me. Let me see your great mercy full face. Answer me now. Have you ever been in a spot where you desperately needed God to answer you? I remember a time about 7 years ago when I found myself crying out to God on my knees, shouting, "No more." It was 2 days after listing our house in Illinois, and our sump pump had failed on the night when our snow was melting and we had this large rainstorm. Water was rolling in from the pump area in our basement. It was coming in from the perimeter walls, and I couldn't keep up. No vacuum was going to keep up with this water. It was pouring down from heavens, and it brought me to my knees. In that moment, I knew what good old-fashioned biblical lament was all about. Shouting, screaming at God for dumping the rain on us. It was not my best moment as a pastor, as a parent, or as a husband, but it was one of the most real spiritual experiences I've been through. I was completely out of control, completely crying out to God, full of anger and sadness and despair and lamenting, shouting, "No more," at the top of my lungs. Well, eventually the situation was resolved, thanks to God's hand being with our plumber, my wife, our kids, and even a church member who came over and helped. But don't we need these experiences? As humans, don't we need those times when we aren't in control and we need to cry out to God? We need to shout no to God. This is what lament is all about. We may not be in control. We may not have the answers, but we know who has the answers. And so we turn to God in prayer. We turn our lives over to Him, knowing that no matter how hard we try to vacuum, the water is rolling in and over our lives. God is the only one who can stop the rain. God is the only one who can bring the sunshine. So we shout no. We cry out and we lament with the Psalms because we have faith that God will change our situation. Amen. All right, now for some announcements. Tonight, Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, Reverend Sarah is leading a Zoom Kids Club, children's ministry time. That should be a lot of fun. That'll be about 45 minutes long. And then at 7 o'clock on Zoom, Trisha Hansen is hosting our youth group. So kind of doing our Wednesday night activities. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we have our Bible 101 class on Zoom. I'm leading that, so if you want an invite, please let me know, and I'll send you an invite to that. Friday night at 8 o'clock in the evening is our Job Bible study. We're kicking that back off. We've been off for the last couple of weeks. Then Sunday evening from 5 to 7, Reverend Sarah is hosting a movie party to watch the new animated flick called Onward, which is about a quest where a couple of heroes really discover who they are and what they're made of. It's a really good flick. Lastly, I just want to let you know that we've got some yard signs that we're going to be bringing around to folks' homes. Now, this is an effort from the session to make you all feel connected and still part of this church community. If you live in a place where you've got a homeowners association, they don't allow you to put signs in your yard, you can go ahead and take it up and take those metal stakes off, maybe put the sign in your window, or you could put it in your car. We just want you to know we love you and we miss you very much. But know that this season is not yet over, and we continue to pray for your safety and your health. All right, friends, that's it for today. Love y'all.